we all need a break. So open up that toolbox, grab your hammer or a rake. Life is just too short, so many memories to make. I know we just got started, but I really need a break.
I had to tell you, so I was zipping through my Twisting the Plot application today or online, and I saw you guys did one about humor.
Application? You mean our podcast?
Podcast, yeah, that's what I.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to get,
Are you applying for what?
No, if you want to get detail oriented, fine. If you feel it's important to call me out, I'm turning off.
Sorry.
So yeah, I was on your podcast and I saw that you did one recently about humor, and it was sort of like it was not what I expected it to be, based on what you titled it, and so anyways, I wrote it down somewhere. Okay, so it's called. So first of all, anybody that's listening, if you haven't checked out Twisting the Plot, you've got to check out Twisting the Plot. It's Hannah and Ceil Dintino, Hannah Starobin, Murray Starobin. What's your
Whatever
name?
my name is.
Honey, what's your name, sweetheart? What do you go by? What's your
You
moniker?
couldn't remember. I saw that like panic in your eyes. What's her name?
Hyphen. Murray Starobin, no hyphen.
Right. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. And Ceil Dintino. And they have a great podcast, and they do all kinds of interesting things, and I love listening to them. But the one you posted the other day was about it was called Laugh Review. Explain what that was.
Okay. In psychology, there's this approach of working with older adults called a life review. It's supposed to be this, it's opportunity to kind of go over your life and learn things about yourself and sort of like this. But there was a young woman who was getting her master's in drama therapy at NYU, and she used to be a stand-up comedian. So she decided to do a laugh review and to help these older adults who live in a naturally occurring retirement community in New York City, which is just an apartment building that has some push-in services, but they all just happen to live there. It's not like a formal retirement community. And she asked if they wanted to learn to be stand-up comedians. And so she worked with them to find material in there by listening to their stories, and then help them craft a bit, an act, and they did a performance. And what we were able to do was to use some of the recordings of the performance they did, and then interview each of. There are actually 6 of them that did the show. One person didn't want to do the podcast, but there were 5 participants in our podcast. There were 3 women and 2 men, and they're hilarious. They are so funny, and they're so sharp, and they're in their 2 of them are either 90 or late 80s. I mean, these are not, these, hilarious. Yeah. So fun.
I thought I was sort of listening, but, I wasn't catching on. I thought it was going to be, comedians who worked with the elderly or something like that. And then you introduced, what was the first woman's name? Hilda. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, Hilda. And Hilda comes on, and she's like 89, I think.
Yeah.
She starts talking about it, and I was like glued from that moment on. I could not stop listening. I'm like, oh my God. And all I could think of is you and me. and really feeling good about it, because now I know that there's a circuit for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, I always knew we had the AARP circuit, but that's for the younger kids. We're talking 80s, 90s. I mean, oh, it's brilliant.
We've got lots of time to break into the business.
Well, this is all rehearsal time. This is rehearsal time right here. This is all prep. Yeah. We get plenty of time to hone this craft.
Yeah.
But I mean, they all were sort of different in their own way, but and crazy with their little stories and stuff, and
really funny together. I mean, when we recorded it, because of course we had to, because of Zoom, you have to do in chunks and try to separate people. But we had an opportunity to all, at the very end, to all hang out, but we'd also been hanging out in the beginning, hilarious together. Like they get each other, they like bring, we're razzing each other, making each other laugh. It was so much fun.
Oh yeah. No, really brilliant, really brilliant. And all I could think of is that, I mean, and in the simplest form, the message was perfection, which was basically, they talked a little bit about their complaints and their issues. And, at that age, of course, you're going to have all kinds of stuff. And yet they said, like Hilda, I find humor in everything.
Exactly.
That's the message. That's the message. I find humor in everything. And what was really touching was at the beginning, her talking about the fact that as a young girl, she did not grow up in a family that was funny. She did not grow up in a family or in surroundings where humor was something, good.
Suffering was the goal.
Right. And humor was sort of, just frivolous. If you've ever seen us, they know that's not true.
I can't, I can't go through. No, I actually think humor is so important. If I don't have a good belly laugh every day, I'm like,
I know. And that's what and what I loved about these were not professional comedians. These were not, people trained or, people trying to sell a product or any of that stuff. These were just like, our grandparents.
Right.
Basically saying, this happened. Went to the doctor the other day. You're like, yeah, okay, I get that.
Well, I've always told the story that my father, when he was I had a heart attack in Florida, and I flew down and walked right into the intensive care, and there was a gentleman in there talking with him while someone was dying in the next room. No joke.
Yep.
And he left, and I walked in, and my dad introduced me as he was leaving. Oh, this is the anesthesiologist. And he introduced me because he was about to have open heart surgery. And he goes, he's got a good sense of humor. I don't want anyone in the operating room who can't laugh.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly. And so that's that. But
yeah. So now we have a circuit we know we're ready for.
We have ARP, until we're around 85. And then after that, we'll move right into the assisted living thing. But
funny thing happened on the way to the dining hall. Yeah.
But it really did connect with me because I really did think, because literally, I mean, I've had people tell me this over the years, but someone just wrote to me last week, a friend of mine, and said, have you ever done stand-up comedy? And I'm like, yeah, no. One, scared to death. Two, I'm only funny to people that know me. And three, I can't remember anything. So unless I could go up there with a chalkboard, I've got a real good tight minute and a half where I could remember what was supposed to say. So, but then I watch these guys and they're like, in their 80s and 90s, and they're like, after I get off this, I got to go write my new set for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
What is happening? What?
Oh, they are so busy. They're taking classes. They're taking dance classes. They're doing theater. They're doing all kinds of stuff. One woman plugged a local congressman's seat that she was participating in campaigning for. And, they're so active and busy and involved, and it was great.
I've really got to reevaluate my life. I mean, I was pissed yesterday when the Golden Girls marathon get cut short. It's like I have to have new goals. I need some new goals. Okay.
No one has it tougher than you.
Nobody has it. I'm going to get a sweatshirt with that on it. Nobody's life is harder.